Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Confessions of a High and Functioning Autistic Guy. Today, again, I will talk to you about what grinds my gears. What grinds my gears? After people find out that I have autism, they sometimes say, "Oh, I think we all have a little bit of autism. I think everybody's on the spectrum." Or I've heard people say, I was listening to this doctor on a podcast, and he said something really interesting. He said that he thinks we are all on the spectrum, that we all have autistic tendencies. And but that's like that with everything, right? People get depressed, that doesn't mean they have depression. People get anxious, doesn't mean they have anxiety. People can have a panic attack, but it doesn't mean they have panic disorder. People can have a mood swing, doesn't mean they have bipolar. So people, can have autistic tendencies. It doesn't mean they're on the spectrum. They don't mean the diagnostic criteria. And to say that to me as an individual on the spectrum who struggles every single day, that's very disrespectful and invalidating of my everyday battle. To say, hey, I'm just like you. We need validation for our struggles. That's how we process our struggles. So it really grinds my gears to take that quote from Family Guy. Thank you to one of my friends who caught on to that. But I think it's just ignorance, and people act like this huge epiphany. Or it's like, oh my gosh, this doctor, he said something that blew my mind, that I think everybody's on the spectrum, and that makes a lot of sense. Well, it does, but that's why I just kind of call autism an exacerbation of the human condition. It's basically everything everyone experiences, for me anyway. I'm never going to speak for anybody else with autism, but for me, I experience everything everybody else does, just it's turned up much more. So, it's like people, as much as I hate to be like politically correct, there is a lot of disrespect and invalidation out there, Even when people find out I have autism and they say, "Oh, well, you must be doing good then." It's like, what, you think people with autism they need to look like they're struggling all the time to have autism? Like, I don't even know what that means. Like, what am I supposed to say? Thanks? Or should I say, no, actually yesterday was a pretty shitty day, but thank you for thinking it wasn't. It's just like the amount of ignorance out there is astounding. And a lot of it comes from the autism community itself. And again, I've been getting a lot of heat from these videos. People messaging me privately, asking why am I attacking the autism community. I'm not attacking anybody. I'm just being blunt. That's what these confessions are about. I love the autism community, but there's a lot of misinformation out there, disinformation out there, and there's always a huge amount of ignorance. And, we're all ignorant to some extent, but I always say the key is to be aware of our ignorance, because that leaves room for growth. But if you're unaware of your ignorance, that turns to arrogance. And if you're at the top, there's no room for growth and no room to understand others' perspectives. So when people say, to sum it up, that everybody has a little bit of autism, first of all, again, like, what are we supposed to do with that? Okay, thanks for saying that, but like, there's like nowhere to take that conversation. And B, yeah, but it's true, it is. But we all experience certain aspects of every single diagnosis, mental or neurological diagnosis out there. Doesn't mean we have it. I've hallucinated before when I have my extreme panic attacks and meltdowns. Doesn't mean I have schizophrenia. People might like a clean house and like to keep their area organized to their own liking. It doesn't mean they have OCD. And again, OCD is a big one too. A lot of people will say, "Oh, I'm OCD," but OCD for me is more debilitating than autism. It is a nemesis that is like a whack-a-mole. I think I have it cornered and I whack it down and it morphs into another area of my life. It is intertwined. It's parasitic vines through the foundation of my entire existence. So again, let's be careful. When we bring up diagnoses, To equate yourself with someone who has a mental or neurological diagnosis when you don't have it, but you say you think you have it, that's very dangerous. Because again, it leads to a lack of respect and a lack of validation for the person who is struggling at that moment, right? And again, it's okay to think that you have a diagnosis, and I'm sure people will pick all of these words apart and just take all my words out of context. But what I'm basically saying is when somebody tells you their story, just listen. You don't have to, compare yourself and say, hey, I'm just like you. Like, just listen. We were born with 2 ears, but 1 tongue. We're supposed to listen twice as much as we speak. So when people confide in you and tell you they have like autism or bipolar or OCD or anything, just listen. You don't have to put yourself on their level or anything like that. Listening is the simple things we often overlook. They're so simple. That's why we overlook them, right? It's all about human decency and just learning about others' perspectives without having to, share your own at times. Let's just shut up and listen, right? So those are my confessions of a high and functioning autistic guy. Thank you.
To catch all the latest episodes, be sure to subscribe and ring that bell.